The member for Mandurah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Speaker.
And
Thank you,
Leader of the
Speaker.
House. Yes.
On February 10th and in 2025, just like the Attorney General, I will mark having served in this place for 24 years. And when you've spent such a long time in this job, as I have, you sometimes reflect on what could have been. Before I came to this place, I was a teacher for nearly 10 and then an entertainer. And in the mid-1990s, my best mate, Gary Jones, who's here tonight, and I established a comedy act called the Halls Head Hippies. And we named that the Halls Head Hippies because we both lived in Halls Head, Mandurah. We dressed up as hippies, put on wigs, and then we basically murdered the lyrics to 60s, 70s and 1980s songs. And we then travelled the length and breadth of the state and performed to any group that would hire us. And we even had an agent. Now, there is a saying that you can tell a lot about a person by the shoes they wear. Have a look at these beauties. Here they go, Madam Speaker, look at those. Those shoes here, for those who can't see, those shoes there belong to blind Mel and Templeman. And after a show that Jonesy and I had done early on in the Halls Head hippie era, an old lady came up to me after that show and she said to me, "David, I want you to have these. My husband's just carked it. He would want you to have them." And so that was to be how our act began to look up and up. My friend, the former Premier, Mark McGowan, came to a number of our early gigs at the Rockingham Hotel. We performed at mine sites, countless hotels, function rooms. We went to the famous Exchange Hotel in Kalgoorlie, Rottnest Island, flew over the east. We did lots of stuff. And I was also Deputy Mayor at the time of Mandurah, but I had to sort of do that surreptitiously. So I would be Deputy Mayor during the day, and then at night and on weekends I was blind Mel and Templeman. Now, our songs were politically incorrect. In fact, some described them as appallingly crude or risque, and in this modern era we would have been counselled. We would have been me too'd, you too'd and them too'd out of here. And if I had been a candidate back then, Madam Speaker, if I'd been a candidate there, I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't have made the cut. They would have delved into the hippie era and they would have examined the content of our lyrics and they would have said, "Nah, he's got too much baggage." Well, with lyrics like these, our famous Sonny and Cher number, "I've Got Pubes, Babe," and a Flegel-Sharkey number that we had which was titled, "A Good Hump These Days Is Hard to Find." Now, with lyrics like those, we weren't going to fly. But we had a great advantage because these didn't exist. So no one could film us, no one could record us, no selfies, no Instagram, there was no evidence. And the libs knew it. Jonesy and I talked regularly while we were putting on our flares and wigs about taking the act to the eastern states. We said that the eastern states needed to see this act. They needed to experience it. We thought there'd be bigger audiences there and we would stun them. But, like the Robert Frost poem, "The Road Not Taken," circumstances didn't see us opt for an eastern states invasion by the Halls Head hippies, and so I took the road less travelled by. And I stood for the 2001 election. Which brings us back to shoes. These are my shoes that I wore for the first election campaign. And I've kept them ever since. The wear and tear. I almost door-knocked Mandurah twice in 2001. Now, I always put them on every subsequent election. On a Friday afternoon before polling day, I would put them on and I'd go to the same street, Harper Court, with these dirty old shoes. And I'd bang on the doors and I'd say, "Look, I'm back." and they'd say, "Well, I'd say to them, if I win tomorrow, I'm coming back." And I always did. and I always did, because I've always had a few superstitions. And so the journey to this place began, and I haven't or don't regret anything at all. I have no regrets, except for one, and this was because I delved in and dug out something. Exhibit this one here. This is the only one. This is the only one. This is the only one in existence. It is the David Templeman campaign poster of 2001. And the only regret I have is I've let myself go. Yes, I've let myself go. The parliamentary dining room, you've won. You've had a win. And look at what you've done to me now. Now, I have to say, at least I'm honest, I was gazing at the photographs in that little foyer over there. That is the entrance to where you go to the dining room, that photograph of all the members. And, Madam Speaker, I don't want to be awful. Member for Lansdale, I don't want to be awful. But I think there's a bit of airbrushing going on. A little bit of airbrushing. Not me, but yours look pretty terrible vibes there with a bit of airbrushing. Look, I've done lots of stuff in this place. I've been fortunate. 24 years I've served in most positions. I've chaired committees, I've been acting speaker, been government and opposition whip, shadow minister, minister leader for the House, and I'm not going to go through all my achievements because there's not very many, but I had some fun. I've had some fun. When I was opposition whip, and some members who might have been around here remember, I created the greatest tactical strategy ever called Red Fox. Now, Red Fox is a strategy, and because we didn't have texting then, so I used to have to rush around and tell everybody. Later I did. It became sophisticated later. I would text everyone and say, Red Fox coming up. Red Fox meant don't come in. When the bells ring, don't come in. So I'd then come in and I'd stand up there where the member for Scarborough is and I'd say, Speaker, I draw your attention to the appalling state of the House. There's no quorum. The bells would start ringing and none of us would come in. Now, it failed dismally, but look, it was a great strategy. And I had my great comeuppance though. My great achievement was on the last day of 2015. Yep. So over there, where the member for Scarborough was, and I looked around. Peter Watson, who was the member for Albany, who sat over there, where the member for Cottesloe was dribbling on about some committee report. It was in the morning. It was Thursday morning, end of the day, last day. He's going on. I looked across. There was no government members on the bench. None. Not a soul. No minister who was on duty. None. I got up and I went over to Peter Watson. I said, Peter, sit down. Now, uncommonly, he actually did what he was told. He sat down. So then I went over there and I stood up and said, Speaker, I move the House to now adjourn. The Speaker, who was in the chair, was the Deputy Speaker at the time, the former member for Kalgoorlie, looked around, had to put the motion. Of course, Margaret Quirk, the member for Girraween then, she was so excited, she was calling out, aye, before the question was even put. We closed the House down. I then left to go to a funeral in Mandurah. Chaos reigned. I'm on the way down to the freeway and there was chaos everywhere. They're trying to ring me. I couldn't answer it. I was driving. And so all the way down there was chaos and I knew I'd caused it. And I still believe today that actually was the beginning of the end for the Barnett government. Now, Margaret Quirk in her valedictory speech yesterday talked about the trials of a whip. Now, we've got a great whip and I'll talk about her tomorrow. But people, when they try things on you. Now, a former member for Perth once rang me and said, I need a pair. I need the whole week. The whole week. I said, why? He said, well, I'm going to a reunion of Geelong Grammar. I said, oh, that's exciting. That'll be good. What do you want the whole week for? He said, we've got a raft of activities. I said, OK. So then I rang Geelong Grammar. I rang and pretended to be a student. I said, look, what's happening over there? we've got the reunion. What's happening? Can you send me a program? Faxed me a program. Yeah, well, that's because they had faxes then. The fax comes through, tells us what's happening, and I said, gee, there's nothing on till Thursday night. So I only gave him a Thursday pair. He was outraged. And then I told him what I'd done. He was even more outraged. Well, I was outraged because he'd been inappropriate with his pair requests. Now, I want to go on to thank some people. Premier, I want to thank you. I want to thank Alan Carpenter and Mark McGowan, your predecessors. My friend Mark McGowan, and I've had a friendship with him for 30 plus years, long time, many laughs, but I really did not appreciate that he would regularly, when introducing me at Labor gatherings, at community functions, at events, important business meetings, he'd introduce me as the drunkest man at his wedding. And I was quite offended. I mean, I was the drunkest man at his wedding, and I don't remember much of it, but I almost did a Jimi Hendrix on the front lawn of my house, actually. I almost did that. But to Mark, thank you for your support, and thank you for not saying no when I asked you for the arts policy or portfolio at the 2017 election. Premier Cook, you and I, of course, would have lonely drives. I'd drive you down to Kwinana after late nights when we were in opposition, take him, drop him off, and we'd chat about things. I'd drink my Diet Coke. He'd have his mineral water on the way there. And I want to thank you for giving me the dream portfolios that I've had over the last years since McGowan and yourself. Now, Rita Saffioti, the Deputy Premier, for over 15 years I've sat next to her. We both sat over there in the most fertile seats in the chamber, 7 children between us, 7 children. And when in 2008, when we lost, I got the job of opposition whip, and I got a beautiful office just across there. It was a beautiful office to myself. First, I thought, this is great. I'm by myself. It's lovely. Rita comes in. David. She sort of asked me she told me really that she was going to share my room. She said, look, if I only take up a little bit of space, I won't take up much space. Not much. I was reduced to a small little desk area as you came in the door. She moved in furniture. Then next minute came children's apparel, clothes, play equipment, nappies, boxes of stuff, piles of policy documents, of slideshows. She had budget papers. She had every bloody thing everywhere. No room for me. In fact, no one could find me in that office. I was hidden behind Saffioti corflute and the debt monster costume. But I want to say to you, Rita, you've been magnificent. I have had a great time with you, and you're a great friend, and I've been proud to serve. To John Quigley, heard from John. Brilliant man, he really is. He called me Tony for the first 7 years that we were here. I'd wander down the corridors, and he'd say, hello, Tony, how are you, Tony? Hello, Tony, am I speaking next, Tony? What time am I speaking, Tony? Tony, am I paired, Tony, am I paired? And I'd say, no, it's David. 7 years, I gave up. In 2014, John, we were in opposition, and John attempted in private members, very rare, to introduce a bill related to dangerous sex offenders, and he got to sit in there in opposition in the committee table to go through clauses. Now, I was his advisor. No legal experience. But I was his advisor, and all I did was sort of every now and then I'd pass a little sticky note. Would you like a drink? Can I get you a glass? That failed. But I do remember, John, this enduring to you, and this is about your spirit and your tremendous character, was when you went out the front steps to announce a very important reform around the statute of limitations. And there was this old fella who was a victim, who was very agitated and John grabbed him by the hand, and this was beautiful. He grabbed him by the hand, he led him, and this man, you know, this is this guy, the Attorney General, led him there, and it was fantastic. I want to thank a couple of others. I'm a bit of a thanker, they say, but anyway, look, to my friends, Tony Buddy and Dave Michael, my counterpart and Sue Ellery, all of the ministers that I've served with, and all of those who have been part of the McGowan government and, of course, the Cook government. We have bloody worked hard, but it's because of the West Australian people. You've worked hard and you deserve to be re-elected at the next election. I want to thank my parliamentary secretaries. I'm so pleased they're both here. Samantha Rowe, magnificent person. Magnificent. Jessica Shaw, magnificent person. Magnificent. You're going to be brilliant. Whatever you do, you're going to be magnificent, and I love you. And not in the way that you might think. Samantha, I want you to do the very best, and you're going to be brilliant as you go into the next parliament. And thank you for everything you have both done as parliamentary secretaries. Government drivers, I'll tell you about them tomorrow, but the government drivers have been magnificent, particularly because I go home to the regional city of Mandurah, and of course on the way I do sleep. I've been known to fall asleep, by the time we leave here, I've been known to fall asleep at Mount Henry Bridge. And they listen to my snorting and my snoring all the way home, and they say nothing about it. So to the boys and girls at the government garage, thank you so much. To the Mandurah branch, to the ministerial staff in the 3 Labor governments that I've served, my former Chief of Staff in the Carpenter government, who's now a minister in the other place, the Honourable Stephen Dawson, and to all of those who worked for me in the Carpenter years as a minister, thank you. To my Mandurah branch, amazing branch, volunteers and supporters, and some of them sadly have passed over the last 24 years. I've probably got the shoes of one of them, but anyway, look, Margaret Duff. I just want to remember Margaret Duff. You know, she'd be so proud, so proud. Margaret Duff was the salt of the earth. She'd be so proud. Now, I want to thank the Honourable Sally Talbot for the support that you gave me in the early years of arriving here. To Mandurah's richest pensioner, the Honourable John Cowdell, and the former Speaker Fred Riebling, thank you for your tremendous support and your wise counsel. Both of them are members of the old superannuation scheme. It's a sore point with me. Now, they've asked me to join their exclusive Mandurah club called the Mandurah Lunch Club, and I've told them, well, I'll only come, but I'm leaving my wallet at home. You bloody schemers can pay the bill. But members, there is still time. I have in my back pocket an amendment to the superannuation scheme, and I will be very happy to move it and sit late tonight to pass it. We still have time, members. To the AMWU, Stephen McCartney, I thank you, Steve, and all the members, and all the union members. Unions are important parts of Australian culture. They always have been, and they will continue to be. And I want to pay tribute to those in the wider union movement for the benefits you continue and have brought the people of Western Australia and our nation. It's important reforms, and most of the wonderful things that people enjoy now in industrial relations are because of the great work of the union movement of Australia. To my wonderful McGowan government and Cook government ministerial staff. Now, they're up there. I'm going to mention them tomorrow because I'm running out of time, but I'm going to mention tomorrow. But to my current staff, and then I'll go through. Oh no, look, I'll do it quickly. Tanya Whittaker, Kim Coolis, Danielle McKenzie, Rebecca Nielsen, Megan McLean, Amy Owen, Caroline O'Neill, Melissa Kelly, Greta Yap, Heloise Bayo, Demi May Renfrey and Matthew Janakowski. Thank you, you've been brilliant, but I want to talk about you tomorrow. Gary Hamley, my former Chief of Staff, Kelly McManus, brilliant. Kelly Howard, Marty McCunningham, Jock Baines, Lisa Marcus and Ian Johnson, Julian Hilton, Jake Whitty, I went through them, didn't I? Tamas Kent, Georgia McGovern, Bronte Francis, Jade Baker, Chloe Glidden, Angela Sturt, Julie Harding and Jane Galliot. Thank you. To all the agencies that I've served, my portfolios, I'm the Minister for Fun, I've had a great time. And I thank you again, I just thank you. I have, as you know, an enduring love of the arts and the sector, and I value the vibrant arts, what the vibrant arts sector brings to the lives of Western Australians. I have the strongest appreciation of the importance of our international education sector, the tremendous significance of our built heritage, along with the enduring story that is our First Nations people, our most enduring story. And to the sport and recreation sector, thank you for supporting and embracing me as the most unqualified sports minister in the history of the state. As I set out to do sporty things. I was Minister for Tourism for a little while, till that was taken off me. But then again, I was, of course, Minister during COVID, and as you are well aware, the stats were poor. No international trips for me. No international visitors either to the state. And the worst ever interstate numbers we'd ever seen in history. The only thing I could cling to was that some West Australians wandered out yonder. Some of them never came back. And now, I've got a confession to make. Premier, I'm sorry about this. The last 24 years I've been masquerading as Dave from Mandurah. Quite often over the years I would call up Graham Mabry's late night show as Dave from Mandurah. And usually when I was driving home late at night, I'd ring up and say, "Graham, it's Dave from Mandurah." I'd put on a bit of a voice, but I think he knew who I was. Dave from Mandurah's called in the ABC 720's afternoon segments on cars. I called in once and talked about the best car ever was the Datsun 120Y that I had. And the most crappy car was the Datsun 200B model that followed it. And then only a couple of months ago I rang in Sabrina Hahn at Roots and Shoots on a Saturday morning, and Dave from Mandurah, and I was complaining about the problems I was having with my plums. Sabrina caught on because she knew it was me. And of course she talked about why my plums were wilting, why they were there was no fertility in them anymore, they weren't producing fruit. And no sooner had my phone, no sooner had I finished, my phone goes off from Mark McGowan with the simple word Jesus. And I innocently texted back and I said, "What?" But he responded, "Plums." So you never know who you're missing. Now look, in the short time I've got here, to the people of Mandurah, thank you. People of Mandurah have been magnificent to me. For 24 years they have re-elected me despite the obvious flaws. And I am so grateful to them. And I'm particularly proud that over the last 6 elections consecutively I've been able to get the primary vote over 50%, 55 actually, most of the average, which I'm very pleased about, since I was Dux of Maths 4 at Northam Senior High School. I want to thank my electorate staff, Fran Harmon. Fran started with me. I said to Fran, Fran, will you work for me? She used to work for Wendy Fate. I said, "Fran, will you work for me?" She said, "No." This is at the beginning. She said, "No, I'll help you set up your office, but no." She's still there. 24 years. Fran Harmon, wherever you are, thank you so much. To the magnificent people, I had this great thing. I hired the same family members. Fran, then Fran's daughter, Kelly McManus, brilliant. Then Fran's granddaughter, Larissa Wigmore, brilliant. To those that were with me along the way, Beverly Weir, Rose Carnes, Donna Dowse, Tanya Whitcomb, Di Meekins, Jock Baines, Crystal Phillips, Matthew Jananowski, and the amazing Shelley Cook, good on ya. Thank you. You've made me, you've supported me, you've been so loyal. I thank you sincerely. Over in there, in that gallery, is my dad, John. John is 83. He was there right at the beginning in 1993 when I stood for Mandurah. I got beaten, but I said I'd never lose another one. Dad was there. I want to thank you. Brilliant man. My mum can't be here tonight, but she's not well, but thank you. She's been brilliant. My sister's here. Karen, her husband Kim's here. Zoe and Hayden are here. Well, they're not here, but they've joined me along the journey and I thank them. My brother John is here. He flew in from Melbourne last night. He came to the election that I described as our greatest victory of all. Borrowing that from another famous Labor person, of course, in Keating. He also brought his family with him at that election. Jenny Hughes, his partner, his kids Lachlan, Zelda and Aidan, and also Jen brought her late mum Pat and her dad Ken. They all helped us and we won a bloody great victory. Oh, it was a headache that morning. I'm so very pleased that they're here. To Donna's family, my wife, including her wonderful mum Leonie who's here. I want to thank you, Leonie, and your family. You have been magnificent. To my best mate, Jonesy, who's here, and Lisa. Thanks for being here, Jonesy. And we're going to set up a podcast when I leave this place. So I want you to all subscribe and be part of it. And of course, my wife, Donna. Gee, she's put up with a lot. But I love you dearly and I thank you sincerely. You've been remarkable. You're tremendous and I thank you. And you have delivered to us 4 beautiful kids in Jack, Charlie, Mia and Samuel who don't look like me, and that's probably a great thing. But I love them dearly. I love them dearly, and one of the reasons why I'm not staying in this place is because of them. Because I want to be with them. They're the important ones. I want to thank you for allowing me to carry out a job I've relished. I've relished this job. I loved it. I've always wanted to bring to this place that, well, just to life, a bit of fun. You know, we need to laugh more. We need to realise that not only do we live in a beautiful part of the world and we are so gifted and so blessed, but the world needs more compassion. The world needs more people to embrace each other and just celebrate what it is to live and be loved. And so, to my friend Lisa Monday, who can't be here tonight, in Dawesville, and Robin Clark in Murray, my team members, you're remarkable women. I know you can win. I will it. You will. To all the members who are retiring, thank you for your contribution. You're bloody magnificent. Anyone who serves in this place and puts himself forward deserves to be appreciated and thanked. I want to wish all of those members who are retiring the very best. And also I want to say to those members who are continuing, particularly on my side, go to it. You have a great story. You've got a great premier, great leadership team. You're going to do it. Harry Chapin is the person that inspired me the most. He used to say, when in doubt, do something. That's what epitomises for me the Labor Party. Whenever there is something that needs to be done, we do it. And we do it boldly. And that's why I joined the party. It's why I'm a member of the party. And it's why I will always support the party. So I want to finish with this because it's a reminder. It's a reminder. I hope I can do it, but it's a reminder. The most important people in your life, in my case, they're over there, they're the ones you've got to put first. That'd be right. Got 3 minutes. The child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away, but before I knew it, and as he grew, he'd say, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you. My son turned 10 just the other day. He said, thanks for the ball, Dad, come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw? I said, not today. He said, that's all right, that's okay. And he walked away, but his smile never dimmed. He said, I'm going to be like him, yeah, you know I'm going to be like him. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue with the man in the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, son. You know we'll have a good time then. My son came from the college just the other day, so much like a man I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you, can you sit for a while? He shook his head and he said with a smile, what I'd really like, Dad, is to borrow the car keys. See you later, can I have them, please? And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue with the man in the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, Dad. You know we'll have a good time then. Well, I've long since retired, my son's moved away. I called him up just the other day. I said, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I could find the time. You see, the new job's a hassle and the kids have the flu, but it's sure nice talking to you, Dad. It's been sure nice talking to you. And as he hung up the phone, it occurred to me, he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue with the man in the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I know when. We'll get together then, Dad. You know we'll have a good time then. I'm coming home. Thank you.
Fantastic, Tony. Remember
They run out. Isla, there's more here.